really an honor to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I really appreciate it. So call me Andrew. Would it be okay if I call you John?
John Michael.
John Michael.
All right, Andrew.
I appreciate it very much. So, so tell us a little bit about, for those who may not know, about I Love You Foundation and the work that you guys do. And,
so we started the foundation in 2006 based on a text message my daughter had sent while she was held hostage in a school crisis. And
Emily.
And she sent the text message, "I love you guys." And that's what we named the foundation after. And initially, the foundation kind of worked with other organizations in support of the mission. And in 2009, we started diving deep into school safety and saw that there wasn't common language between students, staff, and first responders in a crisis.
Right.
And to me, that seemed crazy. I didn't have any background in this, and
you're not an expert.
No.
Or weren't an expert in law enforcement or any of that.
No.
Right?
I was a software developer.
Yeah. And you're a dad.
Yeah.
And now, what's been the challenge for you? I know you've spoken and trained a whole bunch of folks out there all over the United States and abroad, I'm sure. But what do you see as the sort of the major barriers to creating a more of a safe environment?
I'm actually have been going down this path now for about a decade, 10 years.
Yeah.
And more and more, what I see is that if some of those relationships don't exist, then the rest of it doesn't really happen. And got to have strong relationships with your local law enforcement. And so it was fabulous seeing the sheriff and some of the deputies and officers today.
We have a great relationship with the Comal County Sheriff's Office here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's essential. And then the other thing that kind of stood out was just the vibe in the room. And what I mean by that was the administrators, they liked each other, liked working together.
Yeah.
And
they're competitive, by the way, with each other. But yes,
that's
they
good.
They do like each other quite a bit, yes.
And so that's just an important thing, is those relationships.
Yeah.
And without some of those, the rest of it doesn't seem to happen as well.
Now, I got to tell you, when I signed up to be an educator, a teacher, this topic that we're having a conversation about it's a foreign concept.
Absolutely.
And it still is to some degree. I mean, sitting in your training today in the back and listening, and of course I'm digesting, taking notes, and I had a moment of pause to say to myself, I can't believe I'm actually thinking about this problem.
I think it's actually a conversation that our kids want to have.
You mentioned that many times, and I'm intrigued by the comment.
I was in Sarpy County, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And they were conducting a huge exercise. Mm-hmm. And they invited me to observe it, and it was 900 participants. So it's the county sheriff's office, municipal PD, fire, EMS, school district. Out of that 900, there were 200 student volunteers. And as we're getting started into the exercise, I'm walking down the hall, and there's two girls standing there.
Right.
And we get to talking, and I pointed to the SRP poster on the wall. And I said, "What do you think of that?" And this young woman, 15, 16 years old, looks at me and said, "There are things the grown-ups don't want to talk about." But when the poster went up, they had to.
Right.
And I said, "Well, why is that important?" And she said, "Look, I watch the news. Sometimes bad things happen. And if something bad happens, I need to have a plan." And then she looked at me and said, "And I need to know the grown-ups have a plan."
Yeah.
And it really is, I think, a conversation that our kids want, our teens want. I think we can absolutely have that conversation in a mindful way, in audience-appropriate conversations, and but really honor, I think, the fact that our students are hungry for this kind of conversation.
Yeah. As you think about this work, and I hope that, and we will invite you back. So I hope that you will return, because
Absolutely.
I would love for you to talk with a larger group of teachers that we will identify directly, because I think that would help our administration even more. Because we'd like to do the same thing over and over again in our district.
Absolutely.
Until it gets institutionalized. But your future thoughts about trends that as a school district we ought to be thoughtful about? I mean, the connectivity with our local law enforcement jurisdiction, certainly standard protocols in place, reaching out to parents and really getting them onboarded, having this tough conversation. What are the things that you see coming forward? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about school safety, of course, a lot of suggestions, by the way.
We're seeing there's, I think, ways that schools can interact with social media that are going to be more receptive to our students. For us, this is kind of a new thing. We didn't grow up with it, so we don't have the same culture that our students have.
Right.
And I think we need to be more attentive to how can we leverage social media, how can we use a medium that our kids are using really effectively with themselves a little more efficiently ourselves.
You think that has complicated the situation even more?
It's I think we're having some of the same conversations that my parents were having with their parents, and that's when those darn telephones came into the house.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. You know, I just want to make sure that those who will watch this and hopefully will pay attention that the foundation, the I Love You Guys Foundation website is rich with resources.
Absolutely.
And it's also something you made a point today over and over again. It's free.
Yes.
And there's no hook. There's no sales call. And it's actually can be used by anyone out there.
All the resources are at no cost.
Yeah.
And there isn't any hook. We don't have any forms to fill out. We don't charge you an email address. Okay?
Yeah, you're not going to be sending me a bunch of letters or emails.
And
but there's an opportunity for any one of us to certainly donate and contribute to the foundation.
Absolutely.
To strengthen it and to even make it wider appeal to a whole bunch of folks out there. And it's an absolute honor to have you with us in our school district.
Oh, it's a blast coming down. You've got great people.
Yeah.
And I always have fun coming to Texas.
Well, anytime, and we're going to schedule you again because we've got a group of teachers that I know will be a great audience as well, and counselors.
Yes.
And that'll be a great audience group as well, too, to get together with.
Spectacular.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir.